Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Now I want to keep this video as short as possible, so we're just going to get straight into it. If you have visited my shop or my website or seen any of my recent videos, you will know that I'm no longer accepting PayPal as a mode of payment. I'm no longer using it as a buyer or a seller. Due to recent experiences, I have decided to completely suspend my use of this internet payment service for the foreseeable future. So if I can help it, they will never touch or profit from a single penny of my money ever again. Now this isn't going to be a video about why you shouldn't be using PayPal. Make your own decisions. I just wanted to share my story, and a few of you have come forward recently since I first mentioned these issues that I've had and had your own stories, so I thought it'd be great to use this platform to just share what happened with me. And you know, if there are any small businesses out there that are going through their own issues with PayPal, then my experiences might be able to help you resolve them. And if you're using PayPal as a buyer, it just might be good to know what can go wrong and I guess the true nature of them as a company. So basically just take whatever you want from this story. Now I'll be quite honest, I was and am still very nervous making this video, quite apprehensive. You know, this isn't the content that I normally make. I'm an art channel, and also just kind of apprehensive to talk about my finances in general. I think it can be quite dangerous, and it's also just like a personal thing, but I think it's important in this case to go into as much detail as I can. I'm also a bit worried about, you know, just the potential backlash taking on quite a large company. I mean, I doubt that PayPal themselves will actually notice this or bat an eyelid, but I have seen similar videos like this where people get responses from other PayPal users who just assume that the issues that people are having are their own fault. So if you are about to make a comment along the lines of the fact that I'm using PayPal wrong, and you know, if I use it properly everything would go fine, if I don't like it, don't use it, anything like that, I would implore you to just have a look in the description below. I've left a few links and resources to similar cases. I've got a link to the BBC Watchdog website where they have a report on this. I have links to Trustpilot and Consumer Affairs where they have all their ratings and reviews there. I think it's interesting that they have a 1-star rating on Trustpilot and Consumer Affairs. Also, if you want to get really deep into it, I have information made available through the Freedom of Information Act on all the complaints and cases against them filed to the Financial Ombudsman Service. So if you want to get really deep into it, I would recommend checking out the description below where I've got quite a few links. I will also have links to PayPal's terms of service, links to alternative payment methods that I will be talking about later on in the video, and another quite helpful resource that I found about if you are going through issues with them, a good effective way that you can file a complaint. With all that out of the way, I just want to give a quick summary of, you know, if you're new here, what this is about. So I am an artist, I am self-employed, I sell art and prints and all sorts of things online through my online shop. Until now, I only process payments through PayPal just because I thought it was something that was safe, it was very simple, and because I get a lot of orders from overseas, it just seemed like the best option. Now I have a few different revenue streams. I don't just rely on my shop alone, I also have this YouTube channel, I do affiliate marketing, things like that. But through my shop, all the payments come through PayPal. Also, I have a Patreon account where all my payments came through PayPal as well. Now normally I don't have an issue, I've pretty much never had an issue with PayPal before, but this last month, the beginning of last month, I had a massive influx of sales in my shop where I sold 350 plus items within the space of a few hours. So that obviously garnered quite a lot of money going into the account very quickly, very suddenly, and understandably PayPal saw that as suspicious. They suspended my account and did not allow me to access those funds. They wanted another level of verification. They sent me an email saying that if you get €2,500 worth in a certain amount of time, they just need to verify that you are who you say you are before they can release those funds to you. So at this point, 6th of November, my account was limited. And that genuinely is fair enough. They are handling a lot of money, and I appreciate that they would go through those lengths to make sure that things are kosher. So I phoned them that day. If you've seen my vlog from that time, you'll have seen kind of the behind the scenes of all this. I hate making phone calls, but I felt like it was just the kind of thing I need to, you know, get it done, get it sorted out. So I rang them, they sent me an email with instructions on what I needed to do. Now at this point I realised that I had actually made a mistake with my PayPal account, and I want to completely put that out there, make that clear, that was my mistake. And what I had done was, because it was a business account, I had put my name in the business name and the business name as my name. So Minnie Small, semi-skimmed min. It was all a bit messed up. So to unlimit my account, I first needed to change the name, which seemed simple enough. But in the email that they sent me, they outlined all the things they required for that. So a form of ID, photo ID, so my driver's license. They needed a letter of authorization from the manager of the company, which is me, obviously, just like, I guess, authorizing the name change, and a letter on company stationery saying why the name needed to be changed. And then once that was all done, they would have those documents, they would be able to unlimit my account. Or so they said. So I uploaded all of those documents. I think it was the 7th or 8th by the time I had gathered those all up, you know, written out that letter that they wanted and sent that off. This is where I kind of had my first inkling of a problem, just because when you upload those documents, and, you know, as I said, I appreciate that they are thorough, I appreciate that, you know, they are very official with these things. I would also like the same care to be taken with my documents. So when I uploaded those things, it was just like throwing it out there into the ether. There was no confirmation email or anything to say that they had that. There was no follow-up to say, you know, thanks for sending these documents, we're working on it, we're processing your request. It was just like sending it on out there and, you know, let's see what happens. They have like a resolution centre on their website and there's nothing there to say anything either, which I just found quite odd. But at the time, I was still very much in the thought that this would be something that would be resolved in a few days. So yeah, even though that bothered me at the time, that in the scheme of things, as you'll see, was neither here nor there. So that day on the 7th or 8th is when the waiting game began, and days passed with no confirmation, no updates on the process, absolutely no contact from PayPal. The whole process was quite unclear, and as I said, literally days and days passed with absolutely no update on things. So at that point I just thought that maybe those documents didn't go through. When I uploaded them, you know, I sent those out there, I was redirected back to the resolutions page, maybe my server cut out, so I uploaded those documents again just in case. So on the 13th, we're a week in by now, and I still haven't heard anything, so I emailed customer services through their online message centre. Okay, my first tip when dealing with PayPal, if you do send them anything, make sure to send yourself a copy, because as we'll find out, anything you send to them just floats off into the ether and they can do whatever they want with it. It can disappear, it might not ever have existed according to them. I typed out a full email of my situation, of what I'd done. I said my account's been limited, I have sent these documents, nothing's happening, where do we go from here? To my relief, they sent like an automated response saying we will respond to you within 24 hours. So I was like, cool. And within a few hours they had responded, except the response was not really related to what I had said. It was just copy and paste of like the FAQ section of their website, just some generic information telling me essentially to do what I had said that I had just done in the email that I'd sent them. So imagine I've said, hi PayPal, I've sent the driver's license you want, what's happening? And they responded, what you're going to need to do is send your driver's license. Bit frustrating, but again, in the scheme of things, that was neither here nor there. They had the option with that email to respond to that generic copy and paste email to get a more, I guess, personalised response. So I rewrote that original email that I'd sent to the message centre as a response to their follow-up email, and to which they said they would respond. And I have to say, to this day, I have still never received a response for that email. So second tip, are we on the second tip already, is if you have a problem with PayPal, do not contact them through email. Do not try to contact them through their forums. In the forums, they'll direct you to contact them through Twitter or Facebook. Don't do that either, because they will pretty much ignore you. They have just their copy and paste responses for all of those platforms. If you want to get things moving, you need to skip straight to phoning them. And if you really want to keep things moving, I would recommend calling them once or twice a day, which is what I ended up doing. So obviously at this point it was frustrating, but I still wasn't, I don't know, I think I was still looking at it quite naively. As I said, I've never had an issue with them, so I thought, you know, it's a big company, things will get sorted out, you know. All I'm doing is proving that I am who I say I am. I have the documents to say so, so as long as I can keep things moving and keep them aware of what's happening, things will get sorted. Alright, so on the 17th, so about a week after I had re-uploaded my documents, just, you know, for the sake of it, they actually did show up on the Resolution Centre page. So they had a scan of my driver's licence, they had the letter, all those things that they had asked for. They had a list of those things there, and they also had like a link on there saying there's a problem with your account, click here to resolve it, and you know, they asked for a few more documents for me to upload. So I did all of that straight away because, as I said, I am who I say I am, so I had those documents ready. And once I followed those steps, there was just like a thank you page, and it said, we've received your documents, it'll take 2 to 3 days for you to, you know, for things to be processed. So I thought, fine, fair enough. And I left it for 2 to 3 days. 4 days later, I think, on the 21st, I do have everything written down here day by day. So on the 21st, still nothing, obviously. So that was the day that I started looking on the forums, and that is when things kind of started crashing down, and I realised how deep this might get, because there were hundreds of people in a very similar situation to me. People that had, you know, maybe put in the wrong password, or maybe they'd got married and changed their name, and they had been locked out of their accounts, and they'd been locked out of their accounts for months, some of them for years. You know, there was tons of people just asking for help, getting the response from PayPal saying, you know, talk to us on Twitter, and then these people would come back to the forum and say, you said that 3 months ago and I still don't have my money. So seeing all that really was like when the world kind of came crashing down, and I realised that this could be quite serious and this could go on for some time. So very upset, very angry. That is actually the moment that I decided to make this video. And it's funny looking back, because at the time I thought I was nearing the resolution. I was going to sort it out in the next few days, make a video about it. As it turns out, it didn't go that smoothly. So I called customer services again that day just to, you know, remind them that I was here, just tell them what was going on, say what's happening. I've submitted these documents, I haven't heard anything. What's the situation? And they actually pushed my request forward. So obviously, you know, I've submitted my documents, they're sitting on the bottom of a pile. They must get tons of these every day. The guy on the phone said they're working through it, but they've got a lot going on. So fair enough, they've pushed my request forward, they're gonna sort it out. Now I have to say, the interactions that I had with the staff on the phone were all but one were pretty positive, very helpful and genuine. One of them couldn't have cared less, but I guess, you know, that's just part of it. I have to say, I'm not someone that would ever, you know, as frustrating as it all was, I would never like shout at someone on the phone. I'd never have a go at a customer service representative, just because, especially as someone that has worked in retail, I know what it's like to be shouted at least once for every single shift that you work, you know, by someone that's blaming you for something that you have zero control over, and it's the people higher up that are causing it, and those same people are treating the staff like, you know, like they're expendable as well. So throughout this process I did stay very calm on the phone. The reason I kind of hesitate saying that, and we'll get to it, but I did get quite emotional, but I didn't get angry and shouty, just cryy. So as I said, the people on the phone were very helpful. On this occasion the guy said to me, thanks for uploading your documents, we're going to push it forward and we'll see what happens. So the next day, I just looked down at my notes and realised what the next day was. The next day was, I'm gonna get emotional as well. It seems so silly to get upset about it, but it was just such a frustrating process. The next day I woke up to a text from my personal bank account saying that I was past, you know, my limit. I had a £500 overdraft on that account. I had completely used that up, and I was now even past that, so I was in minus 500 and something. Now, just to catch you up on why, because of the massive amount of orders that I got, I still needed to send those out, and people had paid for the postage within their order, but I couldn't access that payment. So my only options were really to use my savings to pay for that, or to not send them out, which to take people's money and say, well, thanks for that, can't send it out yet, and I don't know when I'll be able to send it out. Because I thought that this would be resolved quite quickly, I thought, well, you know, I'll use the money that I have saved up. I always have, like, I think when you are running a small business, the best thing you can do is have like a contingency fund, have some money backed up wherever possible. So I had used my savings to pay to send those orders out. The postage for those orders came to between £2,500 to £3,000. Now prior to that I had also spent a lot of money paying for the products that I'd sold and for all the postage bits and bobs that I sent out with them. So I bought business cards, I bought envelopes, I bought all the little things, but I knew that those would be paid for by the sale of those things. If you want to see all that, I do have a whole vlog on it, but I had essentially put out quite a bit of money knowing that I would make that back having made a few sales. It's just that those sales, obviously I couldn't get the access to that money. So I was in a very precarious place financially, and even though I have all these different streams of revenue and not all my money goes into PayPal, I had used up a lot of the backup money that I had, and I'd had to move a lot of funds around from savings. I had to borrow money, and then in the background obviously I'm still running a small business which has its own expenses every single day. So little things like my printer ran out of ink. I print my art prints at home, so my printer ran out of ink and paper. I use archival quality ink and paper, so that was one expense. I had to pay for the rent on my PO box. I had like my subscription to Adobe, little things that really don't mean anything, but when you are living on very limited funds while thousands of pounds are being held somewhere else, it all comes together. So that morning I woke up to find out that I was going to start being charged a fee every day while I was in minus money. At that point I was obviously very stressed, but it was first thing in the morning, so I just put my phone down and I shut my eyes and thought, I'm just going to get like another hour's sleep and then I'll deal with this. Half an hour later I got another text from another bank account, because I have 2 personal bank accounts and 1 business bank account. So my first personal account was in minus 500 and something. My second one was also now in minus, so they were also going to start charging me a fee every single day for while I was in the red. And the reason I got emotional thinking about that is just because, you know, it's mad stressful. So you can imagine my relief when later on that morning PayPal emailed me to say, thanks for everything, the limit on your account has been lifted, you can access your funds. Within not even 5 minutes, they sent me another email to say, and it literally read, I'll read it to you. Dear Minnie Small, note, please ignore the previous email. Followed by the very same copy and pasted information that I had been sent on the very first day. So if you remember, the first day my account was limited, I rang them, they sent me email instructions on what to do. They had just sent me the exact same instructions. So we need your driver's license, we need the letter of authorization, and we need a letter on company stationery. They'd also added that I needed to switch my account from a personal account to a business account, and they gave me instructions on doing that, but my account was already a business account. So everything that they had sent me was useless, and what I realised when I actually went on the website was that all the documents I had uploaded were gone, and they had essentially started the whole name change and account limitation process from scratch. And if you remember that there was a link that said, you know, this needs your attention, click here to resolve it, it'll take 2 to 3 days. That was still there, but when I clicked to resolve it, it had a page that read, thank you for providing all the required information, you're all set and your account is back to normal, which obviously it wasn't because I couldn't withdraw my money. So at this point, it's like, what do I need to do? I feel completely helpless, I feel like I'm running around in circles, and this is going to sound crazy, but this is where it started to feel like they were doing it on purpose. Like, it felt like they were purposely trying to wind me up, trying to like drive me into like frustration so that maybe I'd snap and like lash out on the phone, and then they'd have an excuse to completely suspend my account. And I'm not saying that that's what they were doing, because that would be outrageous, but that's what it felt like at this point. So yeah, on this day, I'll admit I was just a bit too overwhelmed to deal with it at all. I just left it for the rest of the day, and resigned myself to the thought of having to, of essentially hemorrhaging money in the meantime. One saving grace was that I was expecting my Google AdSense payment from YouTube in the next few days, so I knew that that would at least bring me out of the place where I was being fined every day for not having money. So on the 23rd, I spent a good half hour on the phone, and this was the day that I really just kind of broke down, and I'm not embarrassed to admit that I was in tears for most of that phone call, just, you know, because it was a lot and I couldn't really cope anymore. So because all of my previous attempts had been wiped from their system, again, I have to reiterate, whatever you do with PayPal, keep your own records of it, because, you know, they have control over what exists and what doesn't in their universe. So because all my previous attempts had been wiped from their system, I was starting from scratch, and the guy on the phone, as sympathetic as he was like, oh yeah, I see your account was limited yesterday. So obviously there's no urgency there. Obviously they don't want to sort that out. I'm back at the bottom of the pile. I explained the situation and he went off, and I spent a long time on hold, and when he came back he said that my account might have to be closed. My heart just sank, and we had a talk about it. We kind of worked things out, and he said that best case scenario, I'd have to wait 180 days to be able to maybe receive the money that was in there before they close the account. I don't know why they say 180 days, because 180 days is 6 months. So I would have to wait half a year to be able to get that money out, if that. So we talked it out a bit more, and he said, well, try sending in this other document. We need something that we haven't asked for yet from you for some reason. They needed a like utility bill or something that said my name on it, the company name, and my address, which I had. So I sent that in straight away and rang back straight away, because I wasn't gonna play that waiting game anymore. I was aware that if I just left it, it would be God knows how long, you know, it would be until I next rang them. So I just rang them straight back. I said, look, I've done it. All the things are there now, and let's go. It's been 3 weeks. And what I found so odd about this was that this utility bill that he asked for, that wasn't outlined in the email that they had sent me 3 to 4 times already, that copy and paste email that they kept sending me every step of the way. It wasn't outlined in the phone calls that I had had. I mean, how many phone calls had I had by then? Never did they ask for that, which I find quite interesting, because it's like they intentionally want to make you spend as much time as possible jumping through hoops, so that in the meantime maybe they can earn interest on the money that's just sitting in your account. That's just a theory, again, I don't know. So like I said, I sent those documents again. I sent the utility bill. I think I sent like a bank statement or something, and rang back, and the guy said, cool, I can see it, it's all there. He was like, we're gonna escalate this. I've got it up on my screen now. Remember that, I've got it up on my screen now, all the documents are here. And at that point, I genuinely thought that like this has got to be it, surely. Like, I've done everything they asked. There's nothing else they could possibly ask for. Most of the stuff I've done at least twice, so I couldn't think of any other reason that my account would still be limited after that. But of course it just wasn't that easy. So you know where this is going. The next day I got an email from PayPal, and it was the same email that I got on the first day. It was the same email that I got however many weeks later. It was the same email that said, we need your driver's license, we need a letter of authorization, we need a letter on company stationery, we need you to change your account to a business account. Like, I'm sure you can tell by now why I was frustrated, why I'm making this video, even if it's just to kind of vent it, you know. They were for real giving me the runaround, and it was infuriating, and it was really discouraging and disheartening and quite frightening to think like they could do this for as long as they want. Like, we're just playing a game and they're in control. So straight away I called again. It was like part of my morning routine, literally before breakfast, before I had a shower, check my emails, ring PayPal. So I called again, and here's the interesting part. This was the guy that really didn't have time for it as well on the phone. He said that one of the documents I uploaded way back, not the one they asked for the day before, but one of the older ones, was just a blank document. I had just uploaded a blank document, which is really interesting considering the guy on the phone yesterday was looking at all my documents up on his screen and they were all there. Now, I will give them the benefit of the doubt, I guess, because the alternative is kind of too upsetting to think that they would lie or corrupt my files. I don't know, I can't explain it. So maybe it was a blank document, even though those documents were showing up just fine on my computer and had apparently been showing up just fine on the other guy's computer yesterday. I will give them the benefit of the doubt, and you know, if they were blank, if that was a blank document, why was that not flagged up on week 1 when they first checked them, or week 2? Why would it take them so long to get to this final step to then go back and say, well, actually that thing that you uploaded actually doesn't exist? It just doesn't make sense to me. But again, they told me if I just do this one more thing, re-upload that document, and then we'll have everything and everything will be fine. So after another like mini breakdown on the phone, I said, fine, I'll send you those documents, you know, I'll re-upload it for the 3rd time. And so I did, and this was the day that I really physically felt sick. Like, I could see it just going on forever, and I could see the game that they were playing, and I just felt completely helpless. I uploaded those documents. I didn't want to call back. I was kind of done for the day, but my mum convinced me to just make one more phone call, keep the ball rolling, and then just you know, give it a break over the weekend. So my very last phone call that day was to Michelle, and Michelle was very, very helpful. Michelle was the most helpful of all of customer services so far. I was genuinely shaking while I was on the phone, but she kind of like held my hand through it and just walked me through step by step. The weird thing is that she sent me an email that she wanted me to copy and paste into a Word document to submit as another letter, a letter that just completely came out of nowhere, completely not on any list of things that they told me to do previously. This whole other document that they wanted me to upload that I can genuinely say had never been mentioned before. So she sent me an email with what I needed to write in that letter. She said, put your name in it, put the date in it, sign it, send it back to me. And all of this I did still on the phone with her. So I'm there like, yeah, I'm on Word now, I'm saving it, I'm sending it to you. And she's on the other end saying, okay, I've received it, and now I'm going to send it to the claims people, blah, blah, blah. I guess that would be another tip of mine. If you can, I'm not sure how much they're going to be okay with that, but if you can, try and stay on the phone with these people while you're doing everything, just to keep things progressing so you're not having to call back every 5 seconds, every step that you take. So by the end of that phone call, she had changed the name on my account at last, and so the limitation was lifted. All of this still on the phone with me. I was on hold most of the time, obviously, but I was happy to just sit there and wait while she worked on it. Now, the last thing she said to me was that I would need to remove my bank account from my account and then re-add it, because my bank account was in the wrong name, which I didn't really understand, but I thought, okay, I'll do that. My fear was that if I didn't, then they would just limit my account all over again. They would just have a reason to limit it. I remember when I first mentioned this, someone did recommend that when I do get access again, don't withdraw more than £800 at once, because they might see that as suspicious and find a new reason to freeze my account all over again. So I tried to remove my bank account from the PayPal account. It wouldn't let me. It said I needed to wait 5 to 7 days. I waited 5 to 7 days and it still wouldn't let me. So I tried to withdraw £1 to my bank account. Obviously you can imagine I was desperate at this point to just get my money out. And the £1 came out and I saw it in my bank account, so I just thought, fuck it, I'm gonna withdraw everything. So I just withdrew all the money that I had in that PayPal account, and I have not touched it since, and I will not touch it ever again. So that was right at the end of November, so almost a whole month later, I finally had that money. And I just want to reiterate, like, that was my money. I worked for that money and I earned it, and a lot of you guys gave that to me and they had their hands on it. And I think the worst part for me was that in this time, while I'm facing overdraft charges from my bank, they had taken their cut. PayPal had taken their cut. They took that before that money even touched my account. So in that 20 to 30 days where I didn't get anything, they had received £317.54 in fees from my transactions. They had also obviously probably earned quite a bit of interest on the amount of money that was sitting in that account. And as I said, I've had quite a smooth run with PayPal over the years, but I've also never had that much money in my account. So my guess is that they wait for people to make mistakes. They wait for a large sum of money to be in there that they can jump on, and they find the smallest things to be able to suspend your account and put limits on you and make you jump through hoops to get it back. And in the meantime, they can earn interest on that money. If you think about it, it makes sense when you think about how many people they're doing this to at once, how much money they could be making. If they're making everyone wait 180 days, that's 6 months of someone's money sitting in there that they can just feed off as much as they want to. And a quick read of their terms and conditions is actually quite terrifying. According to their user agreement, PayPal has sole discretion to decide if you have done something wrong. So when you sign up, you're essentially giving them the permission to lock you out of their account if they want to, basically, if they can find a reason to, or if they can make up a reason to. Listen to this. PayPal can refuse any particular payment transaction at any time for any reason, and will only be required to make available the fact of the refusal and the reasons for the refusal, and how you can resolve the problem where possible upon request, and provided it's not prohibited by law. So what I'm getting from that is that we can freeze your account whenever we want, for whatever reason we want, and we don't have to tell you about it, we don't have to tell you why, and we don't have to tell you how you can fix it unless you ask, and even then we still might not. We may close, suspend or limit your access to your account or our services, and or limit access to your funds to the extent and for so long as reasonably needed to protect against the risk of liability. For the avoidance of doubt, we may permanently block your account for a breach of section 10.6, which is information about you. And remember, this isn't a bank. They hide behind this guise of fair and secure transactions and business, but they are just an online cash handling company. They are a business. They don't have to abide by federal laws. They don't answer to the government. They answer to their own rules, and they have the freedom to really do whatever they want. Now, as I said, my finances did suffer, but I was very lucky in the scheme of things. As a small business, I'm lucky because I didn't have all my eggs in one basket. I have savings scattered around that at least allowed me to send out those existing orders. If not, they would be sitting there in my room all month while the people that ordered them wondered what was going on. And I have a lot of very understanding customers. But then it comes to a point where it's just unprofessional, and I can understand that, you know, a lot of people would have wanted their money back, and that would be quite a tarnish on my reputation as a seller. I'm lucky because I work from home. If I had an office space that I was renting out or a studio somewhere, I couldn't make those payments to keep that space. I do pay rent to live here with my mum, but obviously she was a very understanding landlady this month. If I was living anywhere else in London, I'd be on the streets. And I'm lucky that I have other sources of income. So even though my Patreon money went into that account while I couldn't access it, and Patreon is where a lot of people have come to, like, give me a more consistent income because this life is quite unstable. People have come there for the sole purpose of helping me out financially. That money went somewhere where I couldn't access it, but as I said, I thankfully had that Google AdSense payment, and that at least helped me get some ways out of the £500 plus hole that I had dug myself into. So despite this stress, it wasn't the end of the world for me, but this is the kind of thing that leads people to get loans. It leads people to make financial decisions that they can't really come back from, and it just becomes a downward spiral. And that's why I think it's really important to think about how much trust we put in these companies, whether you're a small business getting your payments through them, or even just as a shopper knowing where your money is going and if it's going to the person that you actually meant it for, or if it's sitting in PayPal's account making them money. I think we've been lulled into the convenience of PayPal and allowed them this monopoly, allowed them to make their own rules and just rewrite the script on, you know, how to handle people's money for their own gain. So I will be okay. I'm all right now. But what concerns me is how many stories I've seen from other people where they haven't been okay, and businesses have had to shut down, and people have ended up never getting that money back. Moving forward from this, I have been looking for alternatives. A few people suggested Stripe, which I have been using for a few weeks now. So Stripe is a platform that accepts card payments. It's very convenient, it's very safe. So you can accept card payments through your website, and one thing I've realised since using Stripe is just how much money PayPal were taking from each and every transaction. I thought it was quite normal, you know, it's normal for companies to take a fee if they're handling the money, that's fine. But what I realised is that PayPal are taking so much more than they need to be, and I'm saving a lot more money, and I'm earning a lot more money from that middleman not taking such a large chunk of it, if that makes sense. So Stripe have been a great option for me so far. I really couldn't recommend them more. In terms of Patreon, I now accept my Patreon payments through Payoneer, which is a service that I've been using for about a year anyway. I accept my Amazon payments through that. They will give you like an American bank account, a European bank account, and you can transfer money through there quite easily. And so when I'm accepting money from the US, from Amazon, from Patreon, it can now go into my Payoneer account. They take a very small fee, and then I can withdraw it straight away into my UK bank account. And it's been easy, it's been safe. One other thing that is worth mentioning, I've been locked out of my Payoneer account before, which is starting to make me sound really careless, but I put my password in wrong once, and they limited my account like PayPal did, and you know, they wanted verification of my identity. They wanted me to like submit like a photo of myself with a sign saying Payoneer and like all sorts of different things, just proper solid verification methods, but they sorted it out quickly. Like I did the things they wanted and they let me back into my account. So you know, it can be done, and it's being done by everyone except the, you know, online payment giants, because PayPal don't have to take that much care. They feel like they're above it. They feel like they have that control over their customers. Now, in terms of protecting myself with online payments going out, because, you know, making payments with your card on all sorts of websites, I've been used to using PayPal. I find it safe. You get refunds if you need them. Now that I am not using PayPal anymore, I will just use you know, a prepaid card. You can load money onto a card. I use one called Starling, and it's a MasterCard. I will have it linked below, but there are tons of other types of cards like this. You essentially load it with money from your own account, but then you use that card to pay for things. So when you're putting card details out there, people will only have access to what's on that card. Obviously, none of this is foolproof. I'm not saying that this is the safest way, but I feel like as long as you're banking with like a reputable bank, there are security procedures, and there is insurance, and there are ways to get money back if things do go wrong. So yeah, I'm taking all the steps I can to live a PayPal-free life. I had heard about issues with PayPal before. I feel like every few years there's a boycott PayPal reason, but I'd never paid attention to it, and I wish I had. I feel like there's a lot of complacency in big companies like this. I don't think PayPal are the only ones that treat their customers like this. The same problems will constantly arise, but I feel like they have this monopoly over us, this convenience, or perceived convenience, and perceived lack of alternatives. We as consumers are not that important to them. We are pretty easy to ignore, but I thought that I could at least use this platform, this small platform, to share my experiences and just to think about how much trust we put into PayPal and companies like them. And honestly, I really did just want to come on here and rant and vent my frustrations, and I feel a lot better for it, so thank you for listening. We are definitely small fish in a big pond when it comes to situations like this, but all I know is that I will not allow them to benefit from one single penny from me in the future. My payments in and out will not go through PayPal. They will not profit from my earnings ever again. And because of that, I don't think I will be using Society 6 anymore. I think I'm going to be switching over to Redbubble, because for the time being, Society 6 only accept PayPal, I think. So I'll be making a few changes here and there, nothing drastic and nothing that should affect you guys too much. But yeah, I'm just doing whatever I can to avoid them like the plague. So yeah, we may be small fish to these big companies, but they make the choice to treat us one way or another. And at the end of the day, we are the customer, so without us they'd be nothing. So of course we can still make a big difference. Even if the difference I make is my small tiny chunk of money that they'd be earning from me, they're not having that ever again. So yeah, if you want any further reading, I will have links below. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any similar stories, I would love to hear those in the comments as well. And if you have any tips to help resolve it, as well as any suggestions for payment alternatives. But yeah, other than that, I will see you soon for the next video. Bye.